Darth Vader's hand. Got King Kong himself over here. David from American Werewolf in London. Icarus from Planet of the Apes. Oh wow, here's the alien queen tucked away in a corner.
Yeah.
I'm Devin Faraci, and I'm here at Bob Burns' basement in Burbank, California, home of one of the most amazing collections of movie memorabilia ever. These are all things that were in actual incredible classic movies, and I'm here today with Rian Johnson, the director of Looper. We came here because Bob has in his collection the original time machine from George Pal's 1960 film. This is the actual time machine that was used to go forward into the future. We think it's still functioning. There is there's the crystal right there. So maybe later on at the end of this segment, we'll hop into it and find out what happens. But the reason why we're doing the time machine is because Rian Johnson is the director of Looper, the new time travel movie starring Joseph Gordon Levitt and Bruce Willis and Noah Segan, coming this fall from Sony, and it's awesome.
I am one of many specialized assassins in our present called loopers. So when criminal organizations in the future need someone gone, they zap him back to me, and I eliminate the target from the future.
You're the kind of guy, I suspect, who gave a lot of thought to how time travel works.
Gave a lot of thought to it and really dug into it and kind of created this whole system in my head for how the logic of time travel worked in the movie, and then figured out how to use as little of that as possible in the movie. Because Looper it's not like Primer, it's not like Back to the Future 2, where part of the pleasure of it is working out this puzzle in your head of how the time travel works and all the intricacies of it. And Looper is decidedly not that. It's much more like the first Terminator, where time travel sets up this situation, and then the situation really takes over from there.
Sarah Connor?
Yes.
Yeah, just from a writing standpoint, it was more a matter of figuring out how do we introduce this element and not have to spend the entire movie kind of explaining it and having the movie think about it.
I don't want to talk about time travel. We both know how this has to go down. So why don't you do what old men do and die?
Why don't you just take your little gun out between your legs and do it, boy?
Because it's really about the conflict between these characters that this situation sets up.
Or between this character.
Since
it's the same guy.
Yeah.
You've worked with Joseph Gordon Levitt a bunch before.
Yeah.
So I'm assuming that you were kind of writing the movie with him in mind, right?
I wrote it for him.
Okay.
I mean, I wrote it originally as a short that I never ended up shooting like 10 years ago. So I remember telling Joe about the idea when we were at Sundance with Brick, so it's been a while.
So it's interesting because you wrote it for Joe, but then you have to cast this older version of him, and you cast Bruce Willis, and then you make Joe undergo this transformation to sort of not look like Joe anymore.
Right. Yeah, we take our handsome lead actor and put a bunch of on his face. When it came time to cast it, the idea of Bruce came up, and I got just so excited because he's Bruce Willis.
Right.
He's also, I think, just a great actor. If you watch the performances he's given over the years, I rewatched 12 Monkeys the other day. And
he's so terrific in it.
It's just
Speaking of time travel movies.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and another one where part of the fun of it is the intricacy of it. So for a lot of reasons, I was really excited about it. But then we had to deal with the fact that they look absolutely nothing alike. Yeah. We had an amazing makeup designer, Kazuhiro Tsuji. Joe had worked with him on G.I. Joe to do his Cobra Commander makeup. Were you at the Dick Smith tribute that they did here in Hollywood? Did you come to that thing? He's the one who did the huge Dick Smith head. But he looked at Joe and Bruce, and he said, "You guys are screwed. You can't do this. This is not going to work." Because the main thing, and actually this is something I didn't realize, one of the first things you recognize about somebody is the distance their eyes are apart, and that's the one thing you obviously can't change, and their eyes are very different. And so we said, okay, well, what if we're not going to make Joe look like Bruce, but let's just pick a few key features and just slightly alter those.
So can you sort of talk about what some of the influences were on this dystopian near future that you created?
Yeah, most of the movie takes place in this near future, which I think we said in 2042. So it's a broken down, very, very grounded version of what we have today, except everything has kind of gone to crap, and there's a few new bits of technology that have risen up, like there's hover bikes, but they don't look like futuristic hover bikes, they look more like Triumph motorcycles, and they don't really work that well. Like they're kind of like these flashy things that, you know, that assholes at the club drive up on, but they actually don't handle that well and don't start half the time. Undercutting the futuristic elements of it like that was part of the fun thing. Even like the gun that we designed, the blunderbuss, which is the thing that the loopers use. It's like the one gun we really designed for the characters, but it's really specific in its execution. It is modeled after a blunderbuss, which is the old gun that flares at the end. And it really has no range, but anything you vaguely pointed at, it's probably going to hit. And so that's because the loopers are not trained assassins, and the mob bosses give them a gun where when someone shows up, as long as they're vaguely aiming, they're probably going to hit it.
But what are some time travel movies that you think are sort of the best that maybe people need to go back and revisit, just in general?
I really dug Time Crimes.
Yeah, that's what they go on to.
I thought it was a great, just like self-contained little mousetrap of a movie.
Let's get controversial now. Which is the best Back to the Future?
The first one.
Where's
the controversy?
I don't know. Some people say 2. That's
really?
why. Yeah, I know. There's a.
It's very different. 2 has its pleasures, but the first one is. I mean, the script for the first one. It's like a Lubitsch film. It's just this perfect thing. It's incredible, and just you're hitting all these 80s elements. Right, you're hitting the Michael J. Fox. Right, it's beautifully shot. Zemeckis just directed the hell out of it. It's
So I have a philosophical question about time travel, which is that we're here in front of the George Powell time machine, H.G. Wells story. It's about going into the future and seeing what happens to humanity. Almost every other time travel story that we tell is either about somebody coming from the future to the present or us from the present going back into the past. You would think that we would want to tell stories about going forward. Why are we interested in telling stories about going back so much?
I think there are 2 things that really deeply connect in terms of time travel movies, I think, at least for me. And one of them is if you could go back and fix things. We kind of live in this world of memory, and we live constantly replaying and retelling. It's kind of an act of storytelling. Every time we remember something, we're kind of retelling it to ourselves, and that's a form of time travel. And so we're familiar with that, and the notion that you could actually go back and change something and fix your mistakes. And the notion that that probably wouldn't work. It's another sci-fi thing. It's like the man playing God type thing. It's a fallacy that's fun to kind of crack up. But I think I don't know. I mean, I think more broadly and more pretentiously, maybe the bigger philosophical thing that's appealing about time travel is, the curse of mortality. We're lashed to this span of time that we have on this earth, and it moves in a very linear way to its end, and then it stops. And there's just the same way that it's appealing to fly, the same way it's appealing to be invisible, the same way that turning into a monster is there's something appealing about the idea of jumping off of that, and of whether it's past or future, cheating that in some way. And then, of course, turning that back around and showing why you can't cheat that. So I think those all play into it.
I think you find also going back to see if your mom is hot, I think, which is why Back to the Future works really well.
And Leah Thompson.
Well, Ryan, thank you so much for taking time. I really appreciate it.
Thank you, and thank you for having me.
Yeah,
I'm just going to take a lot of pictures now.
Yes, as you should. And Looper opens
September 28th.
And that's in every single theater in America?
Every single one.
You can't escape it.
Cannot escape.
Oh my God!
Thank you very much, Rian Johnson, director of Looper. I'm Devin Faraci, and this is Badass Digest.